Today we're going to be looking at the Omen Navy issue. This is a DPS ship that I use more than any ship, I'd say. This is probably my most common ship. It's a staple. Its traits here, it's obviously a medium energy turret cruiser, so it gets 10% bonus to damage and optimal range, which makes it really nice for a sniping platform. A lot of people are going to run beams on the Omen Navy to capitalize on the optimal range. Instead, I'm running pulse lasers here with Scorch, so I'm still hitting at 41 kilometers because I've got two energy Locus coordinator rigs here, which are going to increase my optimal range. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to fit the heavy pulse lasers on instead of the focus medium pulse lasers. If you could fit them, you get a little bit more damage and a little bit more range, but I definitely prefer having this newt in here as well. Instead, it allows you to newt out a lot of tackle that might get on you and apply some newt pressure to active tank ships. If you've got a few of these Omens in a gang, you can really get in there with Conflagration and newt things out pretty hard if you need to burn something down quickly. So in the mids, we've got this cap battery, large compact cap battery. You can Republic fleet this if you want to, but generally this ship's pretty good on cap. If you're not running your newt, you've got 4 minutes and 4 minutes 30, and if we get rid of a point, we get even longer. My cap skills aren't perfect, so you'll probably be cap stable pretty easily in this. I've got the quad lift Restrained Microwarpdrive in here. This has the obvious advantage of reducing your SIG, which is useful for taking less damage from things like heavy missiles or to help screw up the tracking of battleships or attack battle cruisers that have the large guns in there. The other effect it has that's really nice is that the quad lift has a reduced penalty to the cap well of your ship, which complements the cap battery really nicely. If you're using, say, a Tech 2 Microwarpdrive or maybe the Enduring, it'll actually hurt your cap more even on the Enduring because it mitigates some of the effect of a cap battery. Then we've got obviously the Warp Disruptor II just to hold things down in the lows, 2 heat sinks for a bit of damage, adaptive nano and damage control for tank, as well as a medium Ancillary Repair, Nanofiber to help your align time and your speed, and the Power Diagnostic to help you fit, and then a Polycarbon for align time and speed as well. So going cold here, we're going 2650, which is a really great speed. There are only a few cruisers that can go faster than this, maybe an Orpheus, that kind of thing. I think the Osprey Navy might be able to get a little bit faster if you do a double nano fit. Some people might try doing a double nano fit with the beams on an Omen Navy, that can go faster than you. So the only things that are liable to catch you are frigates, and you're not that much slower than a frigate, so you have a lot of time to get on them with drones and get some nice transversal to hit them with Scorch. Even if they do get on you, you've still got your multi-freak reload, which you can swap out to instantly to help your tracking. And then you can hit them with the newt to shut off their Microwarpdrive and take them out. For the drones, I've got 2 sets of lights. I've got the Acolytes and the Warriors, just because they're very fast, because the main targets you're going to be putting drones on are frigates, and then you've got the different damage types. I would also consider bringing 1 flight of DPS drones, probably Warriors, and 1 flight of ECM. ECMs can be useful for jamming out targets that scram you if you mess up a bit. You can also bring along tracking drugs to help out your tracking here. Being medium pulse lasers, you do have decent tracking, but since you're using Scorch most of the time and you don't have any web or a scram, things that get close to you are quite hard to hit. And if you're orbiting something with your Microwarpdrive on, you can screw up your own tracking, and there's no tracking bonus on this hull. So I would consider using a tracking drug on this. I often do bring them along. You get a decent tank on this, 16k of buffer, and I think the ref heated gives you about the same again. I think you end up with about 25k tank, which for tankier cruisers, but for a very hardy ship, it's certainly respectable. Comes out to about 120 mil, which I think is a pretty good price for a ship like this. Compared to other ships, like the Osprey Navy, the price of those have gone up quite a lot recently, and it's not hard to spend something like 180 to 200 mil on those, at which point you can start looking into a pirate faction cruiser instead, like a T2 Fit Orpheus or something becomes comparable. So I definitely think this is worth the price. The DPS on it is decent, coming out about 300 at my skills. If you heat 350, with better skills you're probably getting closer to 400, and then you've got, of course, the drone DPS coming in there too as well to help out a lot. So it doesn't have to reload like a rapid light ship would either, so you have to factor that into your DPS, which is really nice. Unfortunately, because it's lasers, it doesn't have the selectable damage type that you might have on a guarding platform like missiles or arty. It's not so great in Sancha space against Ratters, where I fly it. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter, because most of the time if you catch a Ratto, they're going to be dead anyway. And most PvP ships omni-tank themselves. And then frigates that have a an explosive hull, which you can't abuse with your lasers, you do have the option to use warriors, which will take out light frigates pretty quickly. I recommend bringing along some interceptors with the ship to help tackle things. You do have the 24k range of this. If you hit, you get to 28 on your Warp Disruptor. But if you really want to be staying safe, you're looking at a 40k range optimal on this. And you can load Aurora to get a little bit more range on it. I don't think it's necessary most of the time. You should be safe at Scorch range. So Scorch is really what you want to be using here. Swap to Multifrig to shoot drones or frigates that get on top of you. Conflagration could be useful if you just need to get on top of someone and burn their health down, because you're getting quite a lot more damage out of this, 450 DPS. And Standard is in there, which I almost never use, but it does use less cap, so if you get in a very long fight where you need to continually use your cap, Standard is definitely an option you can use there. At 29k range, so still in about the same range as your Warp Disruptor. I want to take you into a couple of fights I've had in this ship. It's really good, and you can definitely fight above your weight. In this fight here, Brave has been chasing us around in GE for a while. We decide we don't want to fight on a gate because some of their things are heavier, like Brutixes and battleships, so they'll be able to degress and jump gates before we manage to focus them down. So we fight them at this haven here. We've got our tackle in close at the warp in point if they come in at 0, and our omens are out far so they won't have anything big land on them. This jackdaw comes in first, and you see I start burning out to the left instead of going directly on him. That's because I don't want to be in a position where I'm going to chase him and end up at 0 on the haven and have a Brutix or something else warp in on top of me. I can still apply damage to him here because he's at about 40k. And then there's that Brutix I was talking about. I saw him earlier on D-scan. So because I didn't chase for Jackdaw, I'm still a good range off the Brutix, and it gives me time to burn around the Brutix instead of going straight through him. And I can just manage to apply the rest of my damage to the Jackdaw as he goes down. We see an Oracle come on field. I keep my transversal very high against this Oracle as he's shooting me, and at the same time try and get around the Brutix and the other cruisers to come and apply damage to him. Oracles are extremely squishy, but have high damage and terrible tracking. So I'm moving my way around here. I should be shooting at something, I suppose, just applying any damage I can. So I'm looking at this in curses here. Maybe I can kill him. Unfortunately, the Oracle was aligned out and warps away as our frigates get to him. But there is a tornado that comes in at a similar position, so the frigates manage to take him and get a scram on him. This Incursus here scrams one of our ONIs, so we call the DPS down the Incursus to free up the ONI. Because he's scrammed, he doesn't have any speed to mitigate the damage against the tornado here, but a lot of our DPS is still going on the tornado, so we realize that, okay, it's just faster to kill the tornado instead of freeing up the Incursor scram. So I change over to him. My range, I'm a little far out because I was taking a lot of damage. I played defensively there. I could be applying more damage. You see, right as the tornado goes down, I'm no longer in a position that I have to keep a high transversal. So I do a nice little 180 there, which lowers my transversal to almost nothing, which lets me get some really nice hits on my Incursors, and frees up our O&I before other cruisers come in to tackle him. We see another tornado, same story here. I want to burn my way over to him without getting hit myself, and again I'm a little far out of the range. If I was about 8 kilometers closer, that'd be much better. I do zoom in here to double click in space to get near him, but we've got some good DPS on him with drones and the other O&Is that can take him out. I'm still dancing around the edge here. We see a Griffin warps in. He's at a nice range, right on the edge of my 40 kilometer range, so he's a perfect target to hit with Scorch. And again, I do the same thing. I do lower my transversal down because there's nothing shooting me. That lets me get some nice hits on my Griffin. I've got a Imperial burning at me now, which is super scary. I assumed he would be an artillery fit Imperial, so I was keeping my transversal high while fighting my Griffin. But when he starts applying damage to me, it becomes obvious that actually he's autocannon fit. So I start trying to burn away and see if he'll separate himself from the rest of the Brave gang here. But we realize that they only really have heavy hitters left on the field, so there's nothing for us to DPS down and kill quickly, except for one Cormorant who's playing very defensively. So if no kills left to get, we can just warp off. I'm going to speed this clip up a little bit because there's a fight that kind of goes on for quite a while. It's a really interesting situation here. So on my ult, I tackled this VNI at the Haven. At the same time, our Saber pilot found 2 rattlesnakes off the station with a carrier and managed to bubble them. And then he bubbled them and then warps up here to get additional tackle on the VNI. So we kind of got a timer here, so I go in really hard on the VNI and change to Conflagration. Because I know the VNI doesn't have a scram, it's safe for me to come in with Conflagration to do full damage here, to take him out really quickly. So as soon as we're done with the VNI, we've got to get down to the station. So I've already warped my ult off to get a ping down at the station, so we can try and kill these rattlesnakes and mess around with this carrier. We have Orpheus and I think 2 VNIs, a Saber, and then a couple of interceptors or Tech 1 tackle. I probably shouldn't be taking my time to loot here. I should probably just be getting straight onto the field instead. Eventually I do manage to warp off. Other people have begun tackling the rattlesnakes here. With the carrier on grid, it's an interesting situation because we're not going to be able to kill that. So we think about killing these fighters, but we don't have any webs. So the tactic we employ is just to kite off the fighters whenever they come in. When fighters have a cooldown on their Microwarpdrive, so when they MWT, they can catch up to you, but that just lets you warp off. He hasn't deployed any sirens for tackling. So whoever has the fighters on them, they just burn out to create range so other people can start fighting these rattlesnakes. Wasn't quite sure what we were doing at first because we hadn't fully committed. So I started going on the fighters, and then we decided, actually, no, we can just kite those fighters around for as long as we want. And we'll try our luck at a rattlesnake. So we get some more bubbles on them, get drones, set up a nice orbit on them, and start hitting them from outside of scram and web range. It turns out the carrier has a really long web range. I'm not quite sure what module that is, if it's a blingy web or there's some new capital web that I don't know about. But at any rate, the fighters are put on me because I'm webbed, so it's my turn to burn off. So I burn the fighters away until I see them aggroing on somebody else. This Tengu comes out to fight us, and we think we've got a better chance to kill this Tengu than we do at killing any of the rattlesnakes. So we burn in to start pointing him. I get berserkers on me from the rattlesnakes, so I start shooting down the drones because I can't be on field forever with heavy drones. In this ship you generally are fast enough to kite heavy drones for quite a while, but berserkers are fast for heavy drones, so they can catch me while I'm orbiting unless I overheat. So we managed to set in a nice orbit on this Tengu, as the rattlesnakes pull in their drones and the carrier kind of leaves the sky high and dry and docks up. I realized that he's not an XL ASB fit because of the rate that his rep is going up, and we still want to stay out of his scram range to make sure we don't get baited in and killed. And we realize he is breaking under our DPS, so we can overheat and we managed to just finish him off. And that secured us a nice 600 mil Tengu kill, and his pod was worth about the same amount. I was burning into the end there to reload to Conflagration to use that for some extra damage, but he died anyway. Sorry about the video being slightly screwed up here. I accidentally dragged my screen region so it skewed the whole video to the right. So unfortunately you can't see the speeds and you get that annoying black bar on the side. But we have 2 ONIs and a Malediction. There's a bunch of dudes in Brave. There's a Prophecy who's been baiting us on the other side of the gate for ages. They've had a few of these bait prophecies around. We know they're bait, but hey, if you don't get within scram range, then you can take the fight. So jump through and immediately burn directly away from a prophecy to make sure I can't get webbed in scram, and just start tickling him for some DPS. Cormorant comes through to back him up, so he's nice and easy to frag off, so we can take him down really quickly. So I just put my DPS on the Cormorant while continuing to orbit the prophecy. Prophecy does have smart bombs, so I haven't released my drones because they'll just get shredded. I see the little ECM symbol come up down just above my capacitor there. Nice little trick you can do is right click or control click to target the source of that threat. So I just hold control, click on it, and then that targets the ECM drone that's trying to hit me. So I just put my drones on that ECM drone to kill it while still applying DPS to the prophecy. A Falcon comes through there. I try and lock him up, and then I realize my orbit's actually really nice to come and catch him. So I'm coming in nice and close. I got a lucky orbit there, so I lock him up. I preemptively drop my point on the prophecy there so I can pick it up on the Falcon, and I get a point on him and start hitting him with my nuke, put my drones on him, and start getting some good transversal. A Vagabond, this guy is damn fast and he's been chasing us for a while. As soon as that guy jumps into local, I know he's going to be coming right at me, so I start burning off here. I still want to try and shoot this Falcon, but I do have to drop a point on it. So I start burning out this way as fast as I can. I realize the Vagabond is starting to gain on me, so I put some heat in here. I'm trying to find somewhere to align out so you can see me turning my camera around there, and unfortunately I'm on the bad side of the gate. So I don't have anywhere to align to, so I start slowly circling my way around to try and get some more hits on this Falcon, get an align point. But because I drew this Vagabond away, it means our other Omen Navy issue has got free reign on that Falcon, as long as he doesn't get jammed. I think we must have been quite lucky with some of our jams, because we get a few jam cycles on, but not that many. And eventually, with the support of my drones, that Falcon does go down. And the Vagabond does manage to get a scram on Gent in his ONI. So I come in and try and apply some extra damage to this Vagabond to help Gent get away. And we do manage to eventually get him out. I'm not quite sure how the scram got dropped there. It was probably because of the medium newt. And I just get my drones in and manage to warp off to safety.